Sign the papers, Mum. The contract says it's for your own good. Before we continue, please subscribe and tell us where you're listening from. Liam stood in my kitchen like a foreman at a loading dock, sleeve rolled, pen ready, a folder pressed against the toaster. His voice was smooth, the way a blade is smooth. He set a disposable coffee cup on my table without asking if I still took sugar. He tapped the folder. "Initial here," he said. "Then we can schedule your move-in." I looked at the cup, then at the old ledger on my counter. I have kept that ledger since 1979, a quartermaster's habit that never washed out. Every bag of flour, every bulb, every electricity bill, one row each. The porch chair out front lists too, if you want to be cheeky. It holds me up in the evenings when my knees do not. I slid the ledger a fraction closer. Now, what contract says that exactly? Monday morning. Riverton's inner ring blocks were still yawning, bins out, buses wheezing by like tired oxen. The kitchen smelled like old tea and lemon oil. Sun threw itself across the utility bill I had left unfolded as bait. The bill was wrong by $72, and a change of address note sat in the corner like a rude guest. Someone had tried to make my electricity his. "It's standard," Liam said. He had my late husband's shoulders and a salesman's patience. 42, 2 kids of his own, expensive watch. Everyone does assisted living now. It's safer. "Is it safer to change my utility address without asking?" I asked. He blinked, then smiled the way he did in year 10 when I found cigarettes in his jacket. "It was a clerical thing. I'll fix it." He held out the pen again, a thin cobalt thing. The folder wore the logo of Stonemouth Care. The word admission shouted from the first page like a sergeant. Below, an empty line waited for responsible party. "You know I ran supply for a battalion," I said. "I can still read a manifest. Who is the responsible parties here?" "Me," he said too fast. "You know I've been doing more of your bills." He softened his tone. "Mum, Aaron lives across town and I'm closest. This will unburden you." I set the pen down and glanced at the ledger. The ledger contains jokes that are not funny to anyone but me. The first page says, "Mags Keegan, Quartermaster. What comes in must go out. What goes out must be counted." The habit saved us through strikes and rough mortgages. Now it steadied my hands. "I do not feel burdened," I said. "I feel like tea. Would you like tea, or do contracts forbid it?" He chuckled and shook his head. "We have a noon slot with their notary. Let's keep it simple." Saturday. He opened the folder and walked me through a glossy brochure. He used phrases that made my temples tick. Resort style, memory friendly. No more worry about stairs. He called my house this place and then the asset. He said liquidate with a straight face. "Your news," he added as if he had doctored them. "You said the porch steps bite now." "They do," I said. "I bite back." His phone lit on the table. "Danielle." I saw her name and thought of lilacs and then thought of a grin like a gate. He sent the call to voicemail and pretended he had not. The bill lay on the bench, all crisp accusation. My ledger lay like a quiet dog. I stood and poured water into the kettle. The tap coughed. Sun went a bit higher. A bus sighed outside and left a smell of rubber on the air. "Tell me about responsible party," I said again to the kettle. "It's just a form," he said. "We'll file power of attorney, too. Only in case of emergencies." "There is no emergency," I said. "Only tea." I brought 2 mugs back to the table and set them down. Black for me, milk for him, the way he has taken it since he was 12 and trying to be a man. He didn't touch it. "You won't need to worry about bills," he said. "I have it covered. I moved your electric so I could bundle it and save. I can manage your banking." I already went in to sort some of the online stuff. "You went where?" I asked, "and why?" Meridian Capital, he said, careless. Just to help. They know me there. I looked at the ledger again. Count what goes out, Mags. Count what comes in. You will leave the folder here, I said. I will read it. He frowned. The contract says. There's that sentence again, I said. We will come back to that. He looked at his watch. I'll swing back at 11 with the notary. We'll keep it easy. He rose, kissed my hair, and left. I let the door close and heard the tires crunch the old camphor berries that drop like marbles each spring. I stood still until the kettle clicked again for no reason. Then I picked up the folder and the bill, and I opened my ledger. The first thing I did was set the folder aside and call Aaron. He just left, I said. He brought a pen that looked like it cost 2 weeks of groceries and said the words for my own good. Aaron swore. My daughter is the sort who apologizes to chairs when she bumps them. Her swears sound like someone else's socks. I'm coming, she said. No, I said. Go to work. I will call if I need a driver. There's a notary at 11, she asked. So he says. Mum, do not sign anything. I am older than your brother, I said. I have been not signing things since he was in nappies. I set the phone down. The second thing I did was put on my coat and walk to the porch chair. The chair was cool. The street smelled like last night's rain. Across the road, a dog announced himself as if elected. I breathed and thought of the quartermaster room at the depot. Dust, oil, ink, forms, racks, a chalkboard with lines for trucks. A chain of custody is a holy thing. I am not cargo, I told the camphor tree. Inside, I opened the folder and looked again at responsible party. It was the sort of line you skim while someone tells you about chef-prepared meals. I copied the phrase into my ledger. I copied the bill's wrong address, too. When I turned the page, a loose paper fell out. It was a printed email from Stonemouth Care to Liam's work address. Subject line, referral agreement. A highlight marker had loved a sentence about a small thank you when a resident signs. I stared until the words untangled. I turned the paper over and saw a sticky tab stuck to it. In Danielle's handwriting, don't forget the bank. It's time. My mouth tasted like copper for a second. I lifted the coat Liam had draped over a chair. It had weight like bad weather. His inside pocket had a neat rectangle pressing the fabric. I slid my fingers in and pulled out a numbered slip. B79, I read. Meridian Capital, Downtown Branch. Wednesday, 10/13. The back had a little stamp from the teller's window. You would laugh at how people keep their own rope. He had kept his bank queue ticket as if it were a tiny trophy. B79, I said to the kettle that had gone quiet again. Busy boy. The third thing I did, because the third thing is when you decide whether you are prey or not, was call the number on the referral agreement and ask a question. I did not ask for advice. I asked for a name. Then I called Aaron back and said, bring your phone if you come. It might be nice to have a picture of a ledger. She laughed even though she was angry. Mum. Also, I said, text me the HR email for Meridian Capital, the generic one. You're not going to. I will be calm, I said. I will be exact. I will be me. The fourth thing was accidental. I was pouring more water when the phone Liam had left on the table lit up again. He had forgotten it in his hurry. A message preview brightened the screen. It was Danielle. Did she sign? If not, push. The contract says we can be responsibles if she dithers. House by June. My hands did not shake. That surprised me. I took a picture of the screen with my old phone. Then I set his face down like a sleeping dog. From the porch, I heard our neighbor Mr. Patel whistling through his teeth. He was cutting basil, the scent clean and green. Life is odd. A smell can keep you from throwing a phone. I wrote 3 lines in the ledger. Utility bill changed without consent. Nursing home, responsible party line, and referral email. Bank ticket, B79 from Wednesday. Then I underlined the words chain of custody, the way a woman underlines her own name on a certificate. The notary would come at 11. He would smell like starch and carry a stamp. I boiled the kettle one more time and set out an extra mug. I do not lay siege with guns anymore. I lay siege with tea and paper. At 10:55, a tidy man with a badge and a briefcase knocked. Liam stood behind him with a smile like a heel. A woman followed, young, eyebrows sharp, a Stonemouth care coordinator by her card. The coordinator glanced around my kitchen as if browsing a store. The notary set his briefcase on my table and asked for identification in the same voice my drill sergeant used to ask for a bed made tight. "I'll take that tea now," Liam said, too bright. "You forgot your phone," I said, sliding it across. It sunbathed on my table and nearly wrote a novel. He paled a shade, then laughed. I knew I left it somewhere. The coordinator laid papers out the way bakers lay dough. "Mrs. Keegan," she said, "this section lists services. This section lists financial arrangements. This section is for the responsible party." "I see," I said. "Who is that person for most residents?" "Often a family member," she said. "It streamlines care. It streamlines house sales, too," I said. She blinked. "We don't advise on real estate." I looked at the notary. "What is your role today, precisely?" "Witness signatures," he said. "Do you witness whether a person is pressed?" I asked. "Or only the ink?" He looked at his shoes. The shoes shone. "Ma'am, I only confirm identity." "All right," I said. "You can confirm we are ourselves? That might be helpful." I lifted the utility bill and held it up. "This says someone tried to make me someone else." Liam reached for the pen. "Mom, don't make this theatrical." I did not raise my voice. "I am reading." He used the sentence he had fallen in love with. "The contract says." "Yes," I said. "It says responsible party. That does not equal new owner, correct?" The coordinator nodded. "Correct." The responsible party agrees to manage the resident's obligations if needed. "And does it create power of attorney?" I asked. "Or is that a separate document?" "Separate," she said. Her smile asked for mercy. "I will not be signing a power of attorney today," I said. "If someone brings one to me without my lawyer present, he can take his tidy shoes and walk." I looked at Liam when I said he. He tried a softer attack. "Mum, stop. This is for your safety. You fell last month." "I tripped over your son's skateboard at Aaron's house," I said. "Your own son apologized. You did not." The notary cleared his throat. "We can reschedule if now is not ideal." "We will," I said, "but not with you 3. I slid the folder back to the coordinator. "You may tell Stonemouth to remove my name from any referral credit connected to my son's corporate address." Her eyebrows rose. "We can't discuss. You can listen," I said. "Then you can pass along that I spoke the words on the record. The kettle is still hot. Would you like tea before you go?" Liam's jaw worked as if he were chewing gravel. "You're being difficult." "I am being specific," I said. "A quartermaster's disease." He leaned closer and hissed a sentence that should have stayed inside his throat. "If you don't sign, I'll list the house anyway. The market is good and you won't fight me once you are settled." The notary looked at the window as if it were a movie. The coordinator shuffled her papers as if they might fly. I smiled at the notary with the practiced calm of an old parade. "Do you witness threats?" I asked. "Or only ink?" He closed his briefcase. "I'll excuse myself. They left in a hurry that sounded like shoes regretting floors." Liam lingered. "This stubborn act," he said, "is going to make things worse." For whom? I asked. You or me? For everyone, he said. The contract says. Your contract, I said, is next. He frowned. What does that mean? I looked at my ledger and did not answer. That afternoon, I took my ledger and the utility bill and walked a block to the bus. The bus driver looked like a man who had seen every kind of bag. He tilted his chin at the old coin purse in my hand. Cash, he said. Respect. The card machine chews my patience, I said. He laughed and handed me a ticket. The ink smelled faintly like licorice. Meridian Capital's downtown branch had that polished chill that tells you to whisper. I stepped inside and saw the line and remembered mess tents, summer heat, water jugs, simple relief. Here, the air smelled like lemon and printer. A penny fountain gurgled as if thirsty. I asked for the branch manager by name. I had learned it in 5 minutes on my front step while my kettle sang. Miss Keegan, said the manager when he appeared. He wore a tie with a small ship on it. How can we help? Your employee policies, I said. I would like to hand something to HR. HR is off-site, he said. I prefer on-site ears, I said, but I will mail. Meanwhile, I want to ensure my accounts are marked with a note that only my signature authorizes changes. I am not asking you to tell me anything. I am telling. He nodded with that careful bank nod that avoids earthquakes. I can have a specialist meet you. A young woman came and met me with practiced kindness. She led me to a small desk and watched as I wrote a sentence on a form. She did not give advice. She did not block. She placed the form in an envelope. May I make a copy of a personal record for your HR? I asked. You can give me a sealed envelope and I'll route it, she said. Good, I said. I slid in a copy of the referral agreement email with the corporate address. I slid in a print of the message on Liam's phone about, the contract says we can be responsible if she dithers. I slid in a photograph of the utility bill change. On top of it all, I placed the bank queue ticket B79 like a cherry. This belongs to my son, I said. He is your employee. Her face did not change. I will route this to HR. Thank you, I said. As I stood, the manager returned with a cup of water and set it down. We'll take care of the routing, he said. Would you like a receipt that we received materials? Yes, I said. Chain of custody. He wrote a small slip. I put it in my ledger. On my way out, the penny fountain bubbled like a stomach. The door opened onto heat that made me squint. Outside the branch, I saw someone leaning against the wall. Danielle. She wore sunglasses that could have held soup. Fancy seeing you here, she said. Serendipity, I said. She smirked. We're only trying to lighten your load. You've confused load with life, I said. She stepped closer. Sign the POA, Maggie. It's easier all around. I have never chosen easier around, I said. I chose better through. She leaned in and whispered for only me, unaware of the bank's glass catching her silhouette. If you don't, we'll say you're not safe alone. We'll make it official. I looked at my hands so I would not swing. My nails were tidy, the way old military women's nails stay. I imagined chocolate cake and a fork, then set it down in my mind. I will repeat your sentence in a room with carpet soon, I said. Bring your polite voice. She flinched and turned away. The sunglasses flashed a little and I saw my porch chair reflected for a second even though we were 10 blocks away. Memory is an odd mirror. On Tuesday morning, I woke to a chime, a text from Liam. House appraisal at 3. Don't worry about it. He had added a smiley face as if it were seasoning. I replied with one word. No. Then I called Aaron. Your brother is about to bring strangers through my kitchen. Want me there? She asked. Yes, I said. And wear the red jacket I gave you last winter. She laughed. Mum, why? Because the color makes you look like you invented sunlight, I said. It will help. At 2:30, I brewed tea and set the utility bill on the bench like a slice of lemon. I waited. At 3:10, the door opened without a knock. Liam stepped in with a man who looked like a brochure and a woman who looked like a bouquet. This is Tim and this is Mallory, he said. They'll be quick. No, I said. Tim extended a hand anyway. Just a quick walkthrough. The contract says, you do not work for Stonemouth, I said. Try another sentence. Erin arrived in her red jacket like a flare. She kissed my cheek and leaned against the counter as if it belonged to her too, which in one way it did. The air smelled like the lemon oil I had used on the cabinet doors. Mallory opened her mouth, then closed it when Erin fixed her with a look. Leave, Erin said to Liam. Now, I'm trying to help, he said. Mum is being unreasonable. Unreasonable is changing someone's electric, Erin said. Unreasonable is holding a bank ticket you shouldn't. Liam's eyes shot to the ledger. You snooped. I read, I said. I read. I remember. He looked at Erin and tried a different tack. You live too far to help daily. This is on me. You live close to our mother because our mother chose a house near your first job, she said. She babysat your boys every Tuesday for 3 years. She has earned a say. Tim cleared his throat. We'll just step outside. He and Mallory evaporated, leaving brochure air behind them and a trace of expensive cologne that smelled like sugar trying to be wood. Liam stayed. He stared at the ledger and then at the utility bill and then at me. I could be fired for this, he said low. I nodded as if he had told me the weather. You could, I said. You wouldn't, he said. I would not, I said. Your actions would. He made a noise I had heard at 12 and at 12 and at 20 and at 39. It mixed guilt with a threat and came out like a cough. If you take this to HR, I'll tell them you're declining. They'll say I'm doing my duty. They will read their policy, I said. They will read your email to Stonemouth. You snooped, he said again. I lived with your father, the electrician, I said. He taught me that power flows where it can. You cracked a wire. I saw the spark. He left with the slamming. Walk of a boy who never learned doors are not punching bags. Erin waited until his car noise faded and then put a hand on my shoulder. Do you want me to stay? She asked. Go back to your sunlight, I said. I have one more errand and then I'm done for the day. Errand. What a silly word for a small battle. I took the bus again. The driver looked new, and the bus smelled like vinyl and oranges. Meridian Capital's lobby was cooler this time. A man in a navy suit stood near the elevators, talking in a low voice. I would have walked past, but my name is not on my face, and my shoes do not shout. I've got it handled, he said into his phone. If she doesn't sign, Danielle says we can claim she's slipping. The contract says we step in. HR won't care. They never do. The house is as good as gone. He pivoted and the phone caught on his ear. The phone leaned away from his mouth. I saw his jawline and my breath left for one blink. My son talks in a different register when he forgets who he learned words from. I kept walking because I do not collect easy scenes. I pressed the elevator and watched the numbers blink. The navy suit passed behind me and the phone slid back to his cheek. B79. No, that was last week, he said. Today it's paperwork. The door opened. I stepped in and chose the wrong floor on purpose. When the doors closed, I leaned a shoulder against the wall and let the cool metal take some heat. I did not cry. I did something worse. I planned. When Erin was 3, she hid a biscuit behind a curtain, then forgot and blamed the magpies. When Liam was 5, he took coins from a jar and put them back without counting. I learned then how my children misremember when it suits them. I loved them anyway. Love is not blind. Love looks and then decides. At home, I wrote in the ledger, HR packet delivered. Overheard Liam at elevators. If she doesn't sign, HR won't care. Set boundary, no showings, no appraisal, no POA. I boiled the kettle, then I let it sit. The kitchen swam with that heavy 4 o'clock light I have always loved. It makes everything look chosen. The porch chair called my knees, and I went to it. The camphor's leaves whispered. Mr. Patel's basil went dark green in the shade. I took the utility bill and the bank ticket out and set them on the arm of the chair. Then I took out the picture of Danielle's text. Then I took a breath and called Meridian Capital's HR from the general email Aaron had sent. A woman named Val called back within an hour. "This is Val," she said. Her voice had that plain kindness that makes people tell the truth. "I received your materials from the branch." "Thank you," I said. "I am not asking for anything. I am not filing a complaint. I am telling you my son used your corporate address to seek a referral credit at a senior home where he intends to place me without my consent. He changed my utility bill. He visited your branch and—" "We saw the ticket," she said quietly. "I know you won't discuss personnel," I said. "But I want an acknowledgement that you have this." "We do," she said. "We take conflicts of interest seriously, especially where vulnerable customers or family are involved." "I am not vulnerable," I said, and then laughed at myself. "I am also not a fortress." "We understand," she said. "Would you be willing to meet with us if needed?" "Yes," I said, "if you have carpet and water." "We do," she said. "We will be in touch." I set my phone down. The porch felt like a ship deck under my palms. A bicycle clinked past. A magpie eyed my steps and decided I was furniture. From inside, the kettle sighed. I did not move. At 6, Erin called. "I'll come by after dinner," she said. "I'll be fine," I said. "Tell your boys I love their elbows." "They'll ask why," she said, smiling. "Because they look like their grandfathers," I said. "Okay," she said. "Call me if—" A car door slammed. I looked up. Liam's car had returned. He strode up the path, tie loosened, jaw set. "We need to talk," he said without hello. "We do," I said, "but not on the path. Tea?" He shook his head. "No tea," he said. "Sign the POA, Mum. We can't keep doing this." "You cannot keep doing this," I said. "I am sitting." He took a breath that tried to be patient and came out as a growl. "This is for your safety. You fell, Lou, forget things. You left the oven on." "I turned it off," I said. "You turned on a lie." He leaned over me, shadow across my lap. "If you make this hard, I'll speak to a lawyer. They'll say I have to step in. The contract says." "I know what the contract says," I said. "I am waiting to hear what your contract says." "My what?" he asked, thrown. "Never mind," I said. "You will find out." He stared and then laughed, an ugly laugh. "You think you can scare me with paperwork, you and your little book." "It is not little," I said. "It is long and full." He stormed back to his car. He did not slam the door. He shut it very carefully, which is how I knew anger had moved into a more serious room. In the quiet after, I wrote another line, "Prepare for carpet meeting." Wednesday morning woke up wrong. A yellow notice was taped to my door where the paint peels like old sunburn. "Service interruption. Pending," it said in fat letters. The utility bill's misdirect had grown fangs overnight. I took it down and smoothed it on the table. The paper smelled like ink and something like dust. A disconnect by Friday if new responsible party matters were not sorted. Who had named a stranger responsible? I boiled the kettle and did not make tea. My mouth tasted like I had chewed a penny. At 9 sharp, 3 white vans parked along my curb. A sign went up on my fence in a plastic sleeve. Photo day. Real estate photography. They had come without permission. The coordinator from Stonemouth had given them my address, or Liam had. Men hopped out with tripods in cheerful voices that sounded like rain on tin. Danielle's small car slid in behind the vans like a fish behind a boat. I stood on my porch in my housecoat and my boots. Aaron texted, "On my way," and I texted back, "No, save your sunlight." Then I called the number on the sign and told a woman named Shelley that the property was occupied by an owner who was not amused. "I'll call the agent," she said briskly. We were told to shoot for a pocket listing. "What pocket?" I asked. "Whose coat?" She sputtered and hung up. The men with the tripods looked at one another and then at Danielle, who had taken command with a clipboard. "Inside shots first," she said, "before she makes a scene." "Before she," I said quietly, "puts a kettle on." I put a kettle on. The men stepped toward my door. I held up a hand. "You may not enter," I said. "Your son said?" One began. "My son is not the owner," I said. "I am the owner." Danielle smiled with her teeth. "Not for long." "Wrong sentence," I said. Liam's car arrived in the middle of the confusion. He stepped out and threw his arms wide as if to calm a crowd. "It's fine," he said to the men. "We have consent." "No," I said. "The contract says—" He began, almost tender. "Stop using that like a prayer," I said. "You never went to church this much." He walked up the steps 2 at a time. Danielle placed herself at his shoulder like a badge. "Mum," he said, "this is happening. You need care. You need structure. You need to let go." I stepped aside so they could see into the hall. The hallway smelled like polish and old blanket. Photographs hung in crooked pairs. My husband's portrait watched from 1983 with eyes that could take a machine apart and put it back together. "I need tea," I said. "And boundaries. You need a room with carpet." "What room?" he asked. "You'll find out," I said. He softened suddenly. "Mum," he said, "we're not monsters. We just want you settled. The boys worry." "The boys worry," I said, "because you taught them to." Danielle's face hardened again. "Enough," she said. "Get the equipment in." I stepped down 1 step onto the path. The path stones were warm. The camper threw shade that made spots on the grass. Across the street, Mr. Patel stood still with his basil and watched like a judge no one elected but everyone obeyed. "You step over this threshold," I said quietly, "and you will regret the paperwork, not the shouting." Liam put his hands on his hips. For a second, he looked like the boy who wept when he lost his Lego ship. Then he said a sentence that stripped the paint in my ears. "If you won't sign, I'll file for guardianship. The contract says I can." "A judge will listen. They always do." The men with tripods looked down. Danielle's pen clicked. A car rolled by and the driver slowed for the show. The kettle whistled in the kitchen and no one moved. I felt the old quartermaster's calm arrive like mail. "You make that move," I said, "and you will meet your HR in a room with carpet and witnesses before lunch." He laughed ugly again. "HR can't tell me what to do with my mother." "They can tell you what you cannot do while you wear their badge," I said. "They can read you their conflict of interest policy. They can read your email to Stonemouth. They can read the bank ticket from last week. They can read the message that says house by June. They can ask you what responsible means when it smells like money." He folded his arms. "You wouldn't. You keep saying that," I said. "Are you trying to convince me or yourself?" Danielle raised her phone and took a picture of me on the porch. "See?" she said to no one. She is combative. I am seated, I said. That can be combative. It can also be dignified. Erin's car appeared at the corner. She parked across the way and stepped out in her red jacket like an answer. She did not cross. She stood beside Mr. Patel and let her presence be a banner. I am not alone, I said, mostly to myself. The men with tripods shifted. One spoke. We can come back when the owner is ready, he said. The owner is ready for quiet, I said. They loaded their gear. Danielle hissed at Liam in a stage whisper. Push. She's bluffing. He stared at me and then at the sign on the fence and then at the hall behind me. Fine, he said. Keep your museum. Get your affairs in order. You can't keep living like this. He and Danielle got into their cars. The vans rolled away like a caravan that had discovered the map was wrong. The sign on the fence hung crooked. I took it down and broke it across my knee. It cracked with a sound that felt older than my hands. Inside, the kettle wheezed down. I poured the tea. The mug warmed my palms. I sat at the table and pulled my ledger toward me. I wrote, Service interruption notice, unauthorized real estate visit, threat to seek guardianship. Witnesses, delivery crew, Mr. Patel, Erin. Then I turned to the back page and wrote something in bigger letters than I've used in that book. Carpet meeting today at 4. Meridian Capital, HR, and Legal. My phone buzzed. Val's voice was in my ear again. Miss Keegan, she said. We'd like to invite you to a meeting this afternoon at our headquarters. Your son's presence has been requested. There will be an HR partner and an in-house counsel present. You are welcome to bring a support person. I will bring my ledger, I said, and water, if you don't mind. We will provide water, she said, a smile in her voice, and carpet. I looked at the utility bill. I looked at the bank ticket B79. I placed them on top of the ledger like medals. The house was quiet and steady and full of my steps. Outside, Mr. Patel waved a basil leaf like a flag. Erin texted a single heart. At 3:40, I put on a clean shirt. I slid the ledger into my tote. I put the utility bill and the bank ticket into a clear sleeve. I stood before my husband's portrait and said, "Wish me patience." His eyes did not move. The afternoon light shifted across his cheek and made him look like he might speak. I opened the door and stepped onto the path. The bus driver this time was the same one with the licorice tickets. "Back again," he said. "Supply run," I said. He tipped his cap. We drove into the city. The bus smelled like hot rubber and summer apples. I looked down at the clear sleeve and then out the window at the square shoulders of office buildings. A quartermaster always knows when to deliver. That was the hour. I arrived 5 minutes early and stood by the elevator. The lobby was glass and chrome and humming HVAC. I could see my reflection in the gloss of the floor, small but straight. Liam walked in at 4 exactly, tie-knotted, eyes hard. Danielle tried to enter with him and was respectfully told to wait in the cafe. "Miss Keegan," said Val from the doorway. Another woman stood beside her in a navy suit. "I'm Val in HR. This is Miss Harper from Legal. Thank you for coming." "Thank you for carpet," I said. We stepped into the conference room. The carpet was navy and soft. The table was wood and too big, as if for a feast where no one eats. A pitcher of water waited as promised. The city looked in from the windows as if curious. "Let's begin," said Val. I set the ledger down like a flag. I rested my hand on it. I did not smile. I did not cry. I did not raise my voice. "I will be clear," I said. "My name is Margaret Keegan. I am 74. I am a veteran. My son attempted to change my utility bill. He attempted to secure a financial benefit connected to placing me in a facility without my consent. He has talked about my house as if it were his. He carries bank queue tickets like souvenirs. He has used the sentence, "the contract says," as if it were a spell. I am here to break it. Liam opened his mouth. Ms. Harper lifted a hand. "You will have a chance to respond, Mr. Keegan," she said. Val opened a folder. "Miss Keegan," she said, "thank you for coming. We have reviewed the materials you submitted. We have materials of our own." I watched Liam's shoulders drop a fraction. I watched his eyes fall to the carpet he had not expected to see so soon. I watched the picture catch a bit of the late sun and throw a stripe of light across the table. "Proceed," I said, and put the utility bill and the bank ticket on the table side by side like bread and salt. Miss Harper rested both palms on the table. "We will keep this focused," she said. "Miss Keegan has provided materials. We have done our own review." Liam shifted in his chair. "This is a family matter," he said. Val met his eyes. "Some of it is. The parts connected to your employment are ours." Miss Harper turned to me. "With your permission, we will summarize." "Proceed," I said. She slid a letter from a folder. The letter wore the bank's crest at the top and a quiet power all the way down. "Mr. Keegan," she said, "your employment contract prohibits you from soliciting or accepting referral benefits connected to clients or family where you have financial influence. It prohibits you from acting in any capacity that creates a conflict between your private interests and our customers. It requires you to maintain the dignity of vulnerable clients and family. These are the words you signed. I will read them." She read. It was not long. It did not need to be. Liam stared at the table. The stripe of sunlight slid an inch. Val lifted a second page. "We also have branch notes from last week confirming you met with staff about changes to your mother's profile. We have a log that shows your arrival time. Miss Keegan provided the queue ticket that matches the time. She provided a copy of a message referencing her house. We have a print of the referral email from Stonemouth to your corporate address." Liam glanced at me. His eyes asked for a softer world. I did not look away. "I was helping," he said. "Perhaps you meant to," Miss Harper said. "That is not the standard we enforce. We enforce actual conduct." He tried a different track. "The contract says a responsible party can step in if she dithers. That is what it says." Miss Harper's mouth almost smiled. "You are quoting a marketing brochure. We are quoting your employment terms." Val tapped a page with her pen. "We called Stonemouth. Their compliance team confirmed a referral program. They also confirmed your employer email was used. They have ended the arrangement. They will document the termination." "Val," Miss Harper said gently, "please continue." Val faced me. "We are placing Mr. Keegan on administrative leave while we complete our review. He is not to contact branch staff about your accounts. We will add a protective note to all profiles associated with your name stating that no third party may authorize changes. That note is already in place." Liam's jaw clenched. "You are overreacting," he said. "The policy says we are not," Miss Harper said. "Your contract says we are required." He sat back. His tie looked too tight. He pulled it loose, and for a second he was a boy again with a school clip askew. Then he found the old line. "I did this for your safety," he said to me. "You fell. You forget you need structure." "I have structure," I said. "It is called a ledger. It has held more weight than your pen this week." He looked at my hands and then at the ledger. The ledger's cover was worn smooth by a life of being held. I opened it and turned to a page from 15 years ago. I did not slide it across. I only looked at it. This was the deposit on your townhouse, I said, not loudly. Your father's life insurance paid it. I put the funds into a clean purchase. I did it in my name because the rates were better and because you were new at work. You have paid me a small rent each month as practice. You have never asked whose name is on the rates. You never looked. You only moved your furniture in and called it yours. Miss Harper glanced at Val, then at me. Miss Keegan, she said, to be clear, are you stating you own your son's home? I am, I said. I own it outright. He lives there by my grace. I bring it up now not as a threat. I bring it up so the sentence, the contract says, gets a proper home. Liam half laughed. You do not own it, he said. You are bluffing. The door opened a crack. Val's assistant stepped in with a thin folder and set it beside Miss Harper. From Mortgage Services, she said, and left. Miss Harper skimmed and nodded. Our records show property taxes for that address have been paid from an account in your mother's name for 15 years, she said. The mortgage was retired 8 years ago. The deed copy in our records names Margaret Keegan as sole owner. That was a courtesy copy for our lien release at the time. We had it on file. We now have it on the table. Liam's face emptied, then refilled with heat. You are kidding, he said. Val kept her voice even. We are reading our records, she said. We will not debate them. I had not planned to say anything more than that. The room did the rest for me. It held the silence. It held the facts. It held my son without defending him. It held me without carrying me. Liam leaned forward. So what? He said. You will throw me out. You will make me beg. That is what you want. A win. I want no one to use the word responsibles like a crowbar, I said. I want you to stop calling my home an asset you can spend. I want you to do your job without touching my life like a lever. He sat back hard. The chair protested. He shot a look at Miss Harper as if she might rescue him. She did not, G. She lifted the first letter again and placed it in front of him. This is a formal notice, she said. You are placed on leave effective now. The referral arrangement is reported closed. You will sign an acknowledgement that you understand. You will be assigned training. There will be a second meeting. Your partner is not to contact any of our staff about Miss Keegan. That instruction will be memorialized. The words landed like small stones. No thunder, only gravity. Before we close, Miss Harper said, turning to me, do you wish to make any boundary requests from us in this room with witnesses? Yes, I said. I will read one sentence. I opened the ledger to a clean page. I wrote 12 words, and then I read them into the carpeted quiet. I remain the responsible party for myself. Do not argue that sentence. Val nodded. Acknowledged, she said. Please initial here to confirm you spoke that in this meeting. I did. My hand did not wobble. The ledger took my ink like it always has. Liam stared. Mom, he said, small now. You would do this to me at work. I did not do this to you, I said. You brought it to your work and placed it on their table. I brought tea and a ledger. He blinked and for the first time looked like a man who might cry. Miss Harper slid one final page across. There is one more thing, she said. We will be sending a letter to Stonemouth confirming that no one may use your name or your account details for any purpose without your consent. We will copy you. It will be plain. It will be public within our system. That way, if anyone says, the contract says, our records will say, the policy says otherwise. I nodded. Thank you. Val poured water into a glass and set it near Liam. Do you need a minute? She asked him. He shook his head and did not take the water. He looked at me again, then at the ledger, then at the utility bill and the bank ticket lying like two coins on a map. The sunlight stripe crossed to the far edge of the table and went away. Miss Harper stood. "We are done for today," she said. "Mr. Keegan, please wait in the lobby. Miss Keegan, if you like, we will escort you out a different door." "I will go the same way I came," I said. "I do not need a back hall." We walked into the lobby. Danielle stood by the cafe with 2 cups and a face that expected triumph. She saw Liam's expression and set the cups down without drinking. Val nodded to security. A man in a jacket spoke to her quietly. She turned on her heel and went for the door. Her reflection crossed mine on the polished floor and disappeared. Mr. Patel would say later that my shoulders looked taller when I walked home. He would be right. I am not taller. I am only more myself when the ledger is closed and quiet and the words have been spoken where they count. On the sidewalk, Erin waited. She had ignored my text about saving her sunlight. She held a small bouquet of basil because she had stopped by Mr. Patel's fence. "How did it go?" she asked. "The contract said one thing," I said. "His contract said another." She smiled. "Who did the reading?" "Everyone," I said. Thursday opened clean. The yellow notice on my door was gone. The utility company's envelope arrived in the afternoon with a letter that used my correct address and a note that changes had been reversed. Erin set it on the table like a plate. We drank tea and talked about anything else for 20 minutes on purpose. Then we talked about the meeting. "What will happen to him?" she asked. "He will face his workplace," I said. "He will face himself. Only he can do that part." The phone rang. Val's voice came through like calm water. "2 updates," she said. "Stonemouth has sent written confirmation that your name is removed from any referral tracking. We have logged it. We are also sending you a letter confirming today's protective notes on your accounts and your boundary declaration. There is a signature line for your records. Keep it with your ledger." "I will keep it with the bank ticket," I said. "Good," she said. "There is one more thing. Mr. Keegan asked to speak with you with our HR present. You do not need to agree. If you prefer, he can send you a written apology." "Written?" I said. "With a witness. Easy to file, easy to read later when memory plays tricks." Val paused. "Understood. We will facilitate." That evening, the doorbell rang at a decent hour. Erin sat beside me at the table. Mr. Patel had wandered across with a plate of sweet fritters because he cannot resist a story that ends in tea. He sat by the window with the basil and pretended to talk about football. Liam stood on the porch holding an envelope and looking like a man who had slept in a chair. "I will stand here," he said. "You may sit," I said, "on the first step. That way the house hears you." He sat on the step. The porch light made a soft circle on the boards. The camphor threw a shadow like a shawl. He cleared his throat. He opened the envelope and unfolded a single page. His voice shook once and then steadied. "Mum," he read, "this is my apology. I pressured you to sign documents you did not want to sign. I changed your utility address. I sought a referral benefit related to placing you in a home." I said the words, "The contract says," as if they mattered more than your words. I was wrong on every point. HR read me my contract. They placed me on leave. They should have. I accept that. I am sorry for how I spoke to you and for what I tried to do. I will not pursue guardianship. I will not contact any facility on your behalf. I will return your spare key now. If you allow me to help, I will ask first each time. If you say no, I will accept it. I am ashamed of how I acted. I will make amends by changing my behavior. Signed, Liam. He placed the key on the step. It made a small, bright sound. Erin exhaled. Mr. Patel nodded like a judge with a gavel made of basil. I let the silence sit. Then I said, "Thank you." He looked up with a question in his eyes. I answered it. "You will send that letter to the HR address they gave you," I said. "You will keep a copy. I will keep this copy. We will all have the same record. That is how we will start again. Not by forgetting, By counting it. He nodded. He nodded. Can I do anything else today? Yes, I said. Tell your boys their grandmother loves them. Use your own words. No contracts. He tried to smile. It wobbled. He stood and wiped his palms on his trousers. He looked at the key on the step one last time and then at the porch chair. He used to sit there after football with his father and talk about the price of wire. He did not sit now. He walked to his car and drove away slow. Inside, Erin took my hand. You did not hammer him, she said. I set a scaffold, I said. He must climb. The next morning, a white envelope arrived from Meridian Capital. It was the HR letter. Val's neat signature sat beside Ms. Harper's deliberate one. The top line read, "Confirmation of boundary and protective measures." It was crisp, not cold. It said my accounts were marked. It said no one could be a responsible party for me through the bank. It said a copy had been filed in Liam's record as part of his corrective plan. There was a sentence at the bottom that made me close my eyes a moment. "We acknowledge and respect Miss Keegan's agency and dignity," it read. "We apologize for any distress caused by the actions described." I read it aloud to the kitchen. The kitchen accepted the words like it accepts sunlight. Erin took a picture and sent it to me and said, "For your files." I put the letter in a sleeve with the utility bill and the bank ticket and the apology. The sleeve slid into the ledger like a page that had been waiting. In the afternoon, a courier dropped a thin parcel. Stonemouth's letter. "We confirm no referral will be attributed to your name," it read. "Your details have been removed." The coordinator had added a handwritten note. "I am sorry for my part," she wrote. "I should have seen pressure where I saw paperwork." I placed that note under the kettle magnet for a week. It deserved the weight. On Saturday, I pushed the porch chair to a slightly better angle. My knees thanked me without fanfare. Mr. Patel waved from his fence and offered basil again. Erin's red jacket flashed at the corner when she turned in. She had the boys with her. They thundered in and asked if the porch steps still bit. I told them I bit back. We ate cake at the table. The ledger sat at the end like an old guest. The boys asked what the book was for. I told them it kept our house from being a story someone else told. I told them it kept our weeks honest. I told them it taught their father to count again. Liam arrived near the end of cake. He came alone. He took off his shoes at the mat the way he did as a boy when he remembered. He asked if he could sit. Saturday. He did not talk about contracts. He talked about the boys' elbows. He talked about how the basil smelled. He asked if I needed anything and did not argue with no. When they left, the house exhaled. Not because it wanted them gone. Because it likes being full and then likes being quiet. I cleaned the mugs. I wiped the table. I sat with the ledger and wrote the last entries of the week. Utility restored and corrected. HR letter received. Stonemouth letter received. Liam apology delivered and filed. Spare key returned. House still mine. Dignity still mine. Tea still hot. I closed the ledger. The porch chair held me while the evening came on. A bus sighed a block away. The camphor moved its leaves like a hand waving a story onward. I rested my hands on my knees and counted what came in and what went out and found they matched. Dignity beats convenience when the bill comes due. If you forget that, someone will read it to you. If this landed for you, share it with a friend and subscribe to QuietRevenge so the right stories find the right ears.